I was thinking, why should I get the 45S? It doesn't really make sense considering if I go to mountains here or there, it snows in the morning. Of course, the formatting is just peace of mind, is super easy because you are in smaller form factor, also in the lighter car. Hello guys, Ivan here and welcome to new video. Today we will go and take a look and drive the Mercedes-AMG A35. This is the hatchback. For those of you who don't follow the channel closely, this is my personal car. I'm also going to mention the reasons why I actually got the car. I will tell you my impressions and what I think about the car after 6 months of ownership. Let's take a look at the exterior first. So here we have the Polar White paint, which is a non-metallic white. Also there is a new for the facelift grille, so the so-called Panamericana grille, or now called the AMG specific grille. This one is now present for the facelift. Also there is a new front bumper. This one is same as Mercedes-Benz cars, but what is not the same is the possibility to get the aerodynamic package which this car has. So you can see these flicks, for example, these ones, and also here, which extends to the front. Here is like a disconnected, check it out. So this one and this one are part of the aero package. Also the wing, which is like a huge thing on this, which you can notice like for sure. And also these flicks here in the back, and also these flicks, these are also part of the aero package, and in the back I will show you more. So I really like the A-Class. I started with A180 diesel, 1.5 liter diesel engine, which is not made anymore. Now 180D is a 2.0 liter Mercedes-Benz engine. Before it was a 1.5 liter cooperation with the Renault. Also actually great engine, so that was really great engine for sure. Then for a longer period I had A220, which is also produced now, but I had only front wheel drive version, which was produced for like a 1.5 years or so, which was produced for like a 1.5 years or so, not longer. Now it's only produced as a 4MATIC version, the A220 4MATIC. Also fantastic version, 2.0 liter, 190 horsepower. Also love that version. But here we are with the entry AMG. This is the AMG which has the lowest price tag, but not the lowest emotions. This has a lot of emotions. It's a lot of fun to actually drive this car, and it's so much fun that I would say it's even more fun than many SUVs like GLE 53 and many SUVs, because you are lowered to the ground as low as possible in the hatchback. These can be bought also as a sedan, and if you don't have this in your country, don't cry, because you have CLA 35, which I also drove last year as well. And I also did a comparison with the CLA 35 and A35 on the channel, like a long comparison that's also there. But in short, CLA 35 is more comfortable, it's a little bit larger, also tires are larger, it's wider, the same as A45S. And also it has bigger boot, so there are many advantages of that car. It's a, let's say, grown-up hatchback, the CLA 35. So now let's take a look at from the rear. Also we have a night package 1, we don't have the night package 2, so the grille is actually in chrome. It can be in dark chrome if you want, and also the badges are in chrome, they can be blacked out as well. The wheels we have it on, so the wheels we have on the 18-inch. Can also get 19-inch, but I think these are better for the comfort, and I really like the design of these much more than on the Mercedes-Benz versions, the 18 inches. So you have this sort of aero design, but it reminds me actually Project One wheels, this sort of aero rim with these sort of openings there. Red brake calipers, really great design. These are actually Michelin Pilot Alpine 5 MO1, so Mercedes AMG compound. These are, I would say, the best winter tires which I actually had in my life. They are not loud. These are I can say, the quietest winter tires from the road noise perspective that I had on my car, on any car. So alright guys, so let's talk about the versions of the cars which I considered to getting. So I was considering multiple cars, the A-Class, AMG, non-AMG, 35, 45, I considered the CLA, the new C-Class, also yeah, that's actually true, the GLC, also the E-Class, also the CLE, and what else? For a brief moment I was considering the GLA, but that was like a very small time, so it was the closest was the A-Class, CLA, I would say CLE, and also the C-Class. Why not the 45 AMG? So before the facelift had a world premiere, I was considering the 45S. That's true, mainly because of the transmission and the added benefit of the power, of course, and the styling with the grille. But mainly I would say because of these things: transmission, design, and power. And personally, I don't necessarily need that much power for daily driving, because in the end, even this car is plenty of power for daily driving. It's not like a slow car, so that's one thing. With the facelift, we got the new transmission, which is the same in the 45S as in this car, so that's the same, what I wanted. The grille Panamericana is now also here, so only the power was left, what is not here, and also the drift mode. But how often do you drift? I don't usually drift. I try to drift the A45S. I drift at the AMG Experience, AMG Academy, and it was on wet concrete, wet asphalt. It was cool experience, but I don't think I would do this like often. So it was not something to like consider. Power, once again, I don't necessarily need 421 horsepower for daily driving. And so and two things like a gearbox and design we now have with the 35. So I was thinking, why should I get the 45S? It doesn't really make sense considering the added cost and the fact that 45S consumes about, on average, 2 liters of petrol. That's like a half of the gallon per 100 kilometers, half of the gallon per 62 miles more than this car. So it's much more thirsty, let's say, and 90% of the time I don't need that much power, maybe 95%, because I use this as a commute car, and then I play with the power like 5-10% of the time driving. So once again, that's something to keep in mind as well. The insurance is more expensive for the 45S, but not that much. It's a little bit more expensive, but I would say the fuel and of course the ride quality. So in terms of the suspension, I would say the 45S is definitely much more rigid than the 35. 35 is much more soft, so it's better for daily driving. Not like a Mercedes-Benz version soft, but it is softer than the 45S for sure. So that was something what I was considering. I don't need to drive rigid car for this small benefit as well. So considering all of these, it was, I would say, no-brainer to go for the 35. Then I had a little bit like a thought, if I would feel like I have something less than the 45, if I would feel that I have something not enough of having. So and I actually didn't know if I would feel this feeling or not before I got the car. So I just decided that let's see what I would feel. And I can tell you now, after 6 months, I don't feel at all that I have less of a car with this car, mainly because it looks so similar to the 45S. The transmission is so fantastic that well, it's crazy now after the facelift. Infotainment system as well. So I didn't think I had less of a car, and some people said you could get the 45S pre-facelift for the same money, and that's the truth. But once again, I don't see the benefit of this, because the design is the same. Power, I don't need more. Once again, you have stiff suspension. I would say maybe even stiffer than the facelift, the pre-facelift. Yeah, the infotainment is older. I really wanted the latest infotainment, the NTG7. I wanted the full screen CarPlay, and yeah, that's about it. The CarPlay also can be wireless, so many things to consider. So now it is also much better than pre-facelift A35. The transmission is the biggest difference. The mild hybrid also helps you when you actually kick down, so you get immediate like response, and you go forward, you accelerate much more immediately now with the mild hybrid. And the transmission is like, it can be smooth, super smooth, not jerky like before, and also it's faster, so really great, because it's from the A45S. It has to be the best one. So really I think that this car is really great. I'm not like sad that I didn't get the A45S facelift. I'm not sad I didn't get the A45S pre-facelift for the same money. So I'm very happy with this car, and I would be equally happy with the CLA 35, but I didn't necessarily want just yet the CLA coupe. And we already seen some rumors that this would end the A-Class, that it would end the production. So I said, let's do A-Class when it will, if it will end. Let's do one more time the A-Class. And yeah, I really wanted A-Class for a long period of time, since the W176, the first A45, not non-S, just the first one. I really like that car, and I was like, this is, let's say, on the similar performance. From the get-go, this would be even faster than the first A45. So really something great to enjoy about this vehicle, the performance side. Let's go for a drive. We have red seat belts. Now they tighten me, so we have a pre-save system which tightens you. Also, you can enable or disable if you want in the menu. I like this because it gives me much more security in the seat, but it's not like too much, just the right amount of the pull of the seat belt. Also, check out the start stop. Now complete quiet, and when we will start to move, it will move very nicely. All right, so let's go. The start stop was so fast, I even forgot about it. So when I was considering this car, just check out how it can drive itself. So when I was considering this car, I had in mind a couple of different cars. So for example, let's say the C-Class. So the C-Class, I don't necessarily want the 1.5 liter petrol in the C-Class, mainly because of its high consumption, and I mainly drive outside of the city. So I drive longer distance in between the cities. That's the not ideal version for that. Next, what could be, let's say, more ideal is the 2.0 liter diesel C-Class. But that one, if you want all-wheel drive, which I want, because rear-wheel drive, only rear-wheel drive, in the winter I would need to be much more cautious of everything. So just 4MATIC is peace of mind. I would want 4MATIC, and also it can snow. It happens actually here, it snows. So the 4MATIC would be clear choice. But 4MATIC you need to have C220D, which is then more expensive option than the base diesel versions like C200, let's say C200D. I believe there is also C180D. The C180D and C200D both are rear-wheel drives. I'm not saying it's impossible to drive it here. Of course, in conditions like this, if you drive sensibly, it's fine, of course. But if I go to mountains, here, there, it snows in the morning, of course, the 4MATIC is just peace of mind, it's super easy. So I would want 4MATIC more with the C-Class because of the rear-wheel drive platform than here in the A-Class or CLA, GLA. These front-wheel drive platforms, you can drive it easily with the front-wheel drive only, even if you don't have the 4MATIC. So that's something also to keep in mind. If you live in like south of Italy, Spain, not France, south of maybe even France, south of France, also like Greece or Dubai. I'm not even talking about the Dubai, there is no snow. So in these sort of countries, or let's say Florida, Los Angeles, California, you don't need 4MATIC, of course. It's because it's not snowing. Maybe one day, sometimes it's snowing in California, but that's like super rare. And in the rain, you need to be cautious even with the 4MATIC. So it's mainly about the snow. For the ice, not a big deal, but of course it helps to have a 4MATIC, because you don't have like clear ice like on the ice rink. You always have some patches when the wheel can grab the tarmac. So that's why I prefer rear-wheel drive platforms to have the all-wheel drive system. So the C-Class for me it needs to have 4MATIC. Then the least expensive is C220D 4MATIC, which is also 2.0 liter, because there is also C200 petrol, but that one essentially has 1.5 liter 4MATIC, so it consumes a lot, and also with the 4MATIC even more. So that's also something to keep in mind. Next, what I was considering is GLC. GLC already in the base configuration, which is great. It already has the 4MATIC system, so that's great. And also now, it was not like this before. Let's also try the slippery mode here, the snowflake mode. It was not like this before, but now you can get the GLC with 200D. It also was 220D before as an entry diesel version in Europe or some other places which get the diesel. But now you can have the... Can you hear? So nice, these clicky sounds of the AC. Also we have the heated steering wheel. This is fantastic for the winter. Of course, seats, that's like a standard stuff, but steering wheel, it's now in more cars you can find this, but it's not in this car. You need to pay like a few hundreds, like I believe 300 or 400 for the winter package, which also has a heated windshield washer fluid as well as this, and I think seats are like a couple like a package, couple of things which are winter package. So next was the GLC. I could get the GLC 200, which is not 1.5 like in the C, it's 2.0 liter in the GLC, which is great. It's similar to essentially this engine or that one which I had in A220, which is also similar. That's great engine, I like it. But of course in GLC it would consume quite a lot because it's a heavier car, and also the if you drive against the air, the force, the drag, it will be much more. So the consumption also would be easily, I think, around 8, 9, maybe 10 liters, especially outside of the city. So that leaves us with a 220D GLC. Once again, that would be even more expensive than the C-Class, and I don't necessarily desire it as much, let's say like that. I like the GLC a lot, but it's not something what is on the first line of my choices. The GLC Coupe I like a little bit more than the SUV, but maybe I will even get the SUV. But maybe I would even get the SUV just because of added practicality. But the price difference is not big, the SUV or Coupe for the GLC, so that's great. Then I had, for some time, I had in mind the CLE. For my budget, it would be already more than this, but I could get for similar, let's say similar price point, the like entry. Now it's, I believe, CLE 180, but back then it was CLE 200, and I'm actually fine for the CLA. I could go for like 200, why not? It's 2.0-liter petrol engine, the great engine, once again the same 4-cylinder 2-liter, and I like that engine. Consumption would be a little bit better, I think, than the GLC, similar to like a C-Class. In the C-Class, if you want 2.0-liter 4-cylinder, that engine if you want, you need to go, the lowest one is C300. C300 rear-wheel drive is on the similar price as C220D 4MATIC, which is 2.0-liter diesel 4MATIC or C300 rear-wheel drive. And if you want C300 4MATIC, that's even more. So it sort of climbs the price pretty quickly if you want 4MATIC and certain, not even power, if you want certain engine, because I would be fine personally with the 2-liter engine in C180. If there would be 2-liter, I'm okay. I don't need power in, I would just drive normally like a commuter car, and that would be absolutely okay. Wouldn't be fast car, but it wouldn't be slow. It would be, I like the 2-liter, how it behaves. The 1.5 I feel like it's a little bit not lazy, but the character of that, I'm not the huge fan of that. It's not like bad, but I really prefer the 2-liter. So next, what I really like was the idea of CLE 300, CLE 200. There is also 300, but the same engine, just more power, not really something what I necessarily need. And yeah, that was idea which I had for quite some time, and it was something what I truly enjoyed. Next, what I also was considering was the A-Class, already hot, the series already hot. I was also considering the A-Class sedan and in A35 form, so the same powertrain as here, but the sedan. And I like that idea, but something pulls me more towards the hatchback. So yeah, that was that, but it was solid choice, and the price is tiny bit more, not that much, so we can say the same price. Another idea was CLA 35. If you go that route for the CLA, it's also very good choice. If you compare the CLA 35 to C-Class, for the C-Class you can get like let's say C-Class C300 or CLA 35. So CLA 35 is much more fun, I would say even better looking than the C300, so that's that. But if you go CLA 35, you add some options, you would be on the base price of the A45S. Do you want to go that route? That's fine. Personally, I didn't really need it, as I told you when we were looking at the car outside, and they don't really need it. More space in the boot, and yeah, I really want to continue with the A-Class. But CLA is something what I truly like. The option was pretty strong to consider the CLA. When we go for CLA 250, you can get CLA 250 or A35 for around the same price point. So once again, I would go rather for this than CLA 250. So in my opinion, this is a great choice, the A35. On the comfort level, if you go for 18-inch wheels and the adaptive suspension, the AMG Ride Control option, where you can set it up, if you don't have the adaptive suspension, you are usually like in, let's say, sport mode always. So maybe not that much, but it would be pretty close to sport. Sport Plus is even more sporty than without the adaptive suspension, and if you go to comfort, it should be even more comfortable than the option without the adjustable suspension. So 18-inch is the best which you can go for in terms of the passive comfort, because if you have more rubber, more tire, then of course every car would be more comfortable, not just this one, but every car. But people don't go for the 18-inch because they think it is they would look bad with the car or something sort of this scenario. But personally I didn't like as much the 19-inch design, otherwise I would go for it, and these 18 inches I actually quite like, so that's that. And I like the 19-inch for the 45S, the cross spoke. For the 35 I couldn't find something what I would like more than these 18 inches. And you have same infotainment system like in the C-Class, same Super Sport display, the layout. You can also get and go to the Classic with the more traditional gauges. It's so nice. I like it more than the pre-facelift. For a brief moment I was considering the GLA as well, but I don't necessarily need an SUV or desire the SUV. The GLB I didn't consider, and I also considered the E-Class because I quite like the idea of the E-Class. But if you go with base E200, you already get the 2.0 liter petrol engine, which I want if I would go for the non-AMG version. So already E200, the base E-Class, has a 2 liter engine and not the 1.5 in the C-Class. In the US there is no options like this. The C300 is the base version. In Europe that's already like fourth from the bottom, so it's like a pretty powerful for the Europe offer, offer in the lineup. Start stop, so smooth, it's crazy. It's very smooth, and with the mild hybrid, because of this starter generator RSG, it's so nice to use the start stop than on the pre-facelift. So once again we could now hear the suspension working more, but it's not something. I really like the balance between the comfort and the stiffness in this car. So some people are more, let's say, they like the soft cars more, but for me, it looks like my thing. What I like is to have a car which is stiff, but not like super stiff, not like uncomfortable stiff, but like my friend, for him this car would be too stiff for him, but for me it's fine. So it really depends on personal taste, and that's why I always say, if you have a chance, then go and test drive the car which you want to buy, and also other cars, so you can compare and you can understand yourself, your desire, because you may want something in your head, but when you experience that, it's not what you really want, or what do you really like. So that's why it's I would say necessary to test drive a car. So that's my decision making, why I actually picked this car and not some other ones. If I have to think what would be the second, I would say A35 sedan would easily be my second choice. Yeah, you have a little bit more space in the boot, but you don't have the hatchback. And also the headrest is not integrated, is let's say disconnected. You can change the position of that. The third option would be CLA 35. So the fourth would be CLE 200 with 2.0-liter engine, because you get the same engine as in C300, the same one, and the price is, I believe, also similar, maybe lower, maybe the same. It's sort of similar. I like the CLE more than the C-Class. Why? Because if you drive the CLE and C-Class next to each other, you can understand quickly. The CLE, people say, is the same as C-Class, but it's not. It's much more comfortable, it's quieter inside, you feel like you have a coupe cabin. The design, the layout is like in C-Class, but the door card and overall feeling you have like in the, let's say, E-Class coupe. Much more luxurious, much more higher up in terms of the experience. So now the asphalt is like a little bit, let's say, not smooth, and I can feel that in the car. So if you drive even worse roads, then of course this could not be the ideal car for you. Maybe something like a GLA would be better, with even bigger rubber in the tires. So profile. And you can, I hope you can hear the smoothness of the transmission is like battery smooth. It's so nice and so smooth. It's almost as if you would drive the C-Class 9-speed transmission, which is the super smooth. It's like in S-Class, the same transmission, the 9G Tronic, but that one is not the double clutch. In the A-Class, let's go here. In A-Class, CLA, GLA, you get the DCT double clutch transmission, which in the behavior is much more versatile because it's also sporty. It's much more versatile because it's also smooth. Not okay, it's not as smooth as 9G Tronic, but it is very smooth. But it is more sporty than 9G Tronic. It's faster, the shifting times is faster, and just about everything is much more engaging than in the 9G Tronic, which is the king of the smooth driving, but not necessarily the sporty driving. Alright, so let's go, and I want to show you comfort is a little bit more sporty than the snow mode. But if we go to Sport Plus, I have it set that Sport Plus is in front of the Sport. When you go from comfort to Sport, you already get more noise. Also the steering is more sharp than in comfort mode, and also automatically the suspension goes to Sport mode. So you can feel everything more tighter, everything is much more, let's say, stiff. So acceleration as well, the car is happy to accelerate. It's more on its toes. Also the steering is much more, let's say, agile. The steering is great on the AMGs. I get great feedback as well, what the car is doing. And then if you go to Sport Plus, you also get pops and bangs, and also everything is much more sharp as well. The transmission and the suspension goes to Sport Plus. Also now when the car downshifts, if it rev matches, so really enjoyable here. If I go to Sport Plus, you get even in the lower gear, even lower in the gear, the shifting is so satisfying in this car. The pedal shifters are from metal, really great to press. With this steering wheel, infotainment and steering feel, you are getting a really lot of feeling like you are getting in top AMGs, the S-Class, or let's say the SL, or the new GT 2-door, the coupe version. Steering wheel is essentially the same, and also the infotainment system, so I truly enjoy this in terms of the what you are getting. But this is, let's say, much more fun than the GLE 53, which is much more expensive car, because you are in smaller form factor, also in the lighter car, so everything is that much more enjoyable. If you enjoyed this episode, give this video a like, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon in the next video. Have a wonderful day.